I'm dealing with these spinal lesions and, I'm trying to go down the rabbit hole to figure out what's happening to me, and there's so little information out there about the vaccines and COVID.
They don't understand why it's happening. I think they do. They just don't want to admit it.
What is your hope for the film?
Well, that it starts conversations straight off the bat. That it removes any stigma that the vaccine injured have, that we can just treat everybody like human beings. Number two would be, you got to pause these shots. We have to pause them. We need more data. We need more research. And then we need to acknowledge the injured, and we need to support them. We had billions and billions of dollars to get people to take these shots. You got to pony up and cover what you messed up or what these shots are doing. We have to. It's unconscionable not to.
Welcome to the React 19 podcast, where we bring awareness and support to the COVID-19 vaccine injured and discuss the science, research, and laws that affect all of us. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining us again today. I'm Ann Forty, the host of the React 19 podcast, and today my guest is Canadian filmmaker Dean Rainey, who has recently released his documentary called Why Can't We Talk About This? And we are definitely going to be talking about this today. Dean has worked with major broadcasters such as the National Geographic Channel, the Discovery Channel, CNN, and Fox Movies, producing engaging content for clients throughout Canada, the US, and Asia. His current film chronicles the story of Michael Osh, who was injured by the COVID vaccine, and truly the horrific circumstances that Michael has found himself in. And it also offers a broader perspective on the experiences of so many others who have suffered vaccine injuries, highlighting the abandonment and really the cruelty they have faced because nobody wants to talk about it. Dean, thanks so much for taking the time to come on today to share with our audience all the details of this very compelling story and really must-see film.
Thanks for having me on, and I really appreciate people with platforms like yours that we can come on and share stories for people like Michael.
Yes, and I'm so glad to see that you're out there doing interviews everywhere so that people know about this. So before we dive into the full story, which we're going to get into, I'm wondering if you could just give our audience a sense of what's really at stake here and why this conversation is so worth listening to all the way to the end, all the way through.
Well, if you've ever wondered why we can't talk about this, you're going to find out some of the reasons why. And then you're also going to be sort of empowered with information, knowledge, courage that you're going to be able to start conversations as well on your own. And stick around to the very end because I do have a small but encouraging update on Michael.
Oh, wow. Well, very good. Okay. Well, then let's start at the beginning. Where were you at the beginning of COVID, and how is it that you came to do this story on Michael?
So oddly enough, I was actually living in Hong Kong during the first SARS outbreak in the early 2000s. So I was at ground zero for that SARS outbreak, SARS virus 1. And so I saw how we handled things there. And so I was paying particular attention here because this was now all of a sudden global, and I was very interested in how governments were going to handle this. And I was surprised by a lot of the moves that they made, certainly different moves than that were made in the first SARS. During the pandemic, I was skeptical of some of the actions that they were taking. I voiced a little bit publicly, but I just own a video production company. I'm not an expert, a pundit, a scientist. I'm, geopolitics and economics in my personal life, but my professional life, I just make video content. My wife and I have a cooking show. We do a talent search show. We do corporate videos, tourism promos, stuff like that. But as we're going through the pandemic, I'm starting to sort of get suspect on some of the choices that were being made, particularly here in Canada. We were pretty extreme with the lockdowns. We were doing lockdowns well into 2022. Very extreme with masking. And we had vaccine passports and mandates. And that for me was like, wow, I can't believe that we have come to this.
The scenes, and you show this in your film, the scenes of Trudeau where, hey, you don't get to go to a restaurant. You don't get to go on an airplane. I mean, it was so shocking. I mean, we heard it here in the United States. I don't think Biden came out, well, he said, well, if you don't get a vaccine, you're going to face death. But it was just, again, your film shows it all.
Yeah, it was really it was important to me to remind people of the messaging that we got, where we had politicians giving us medical advice and also shaming us. You know, our prime minister came right out and said, if you're anti-vax, you're a racist, you're a misogynist, you're
Yes, I
sexist,
remember
you're a
that.
terrible, terrible human being.
I
You
remember
know,
that.
what kind of leadership does that? The guy is a drama teacher, okay? That is his experience. That is his background. He is a high school drama teacher.
Really,
And
I didn't know that.
oh yeah, absolutely. He's got the name. So the name comes with a lot of power, but of course he's messed it all up now. It's now an embarrassment to have the Trudeau name. But anyways, I get sidetracked there. So I was, vocal a little bit on social media. You know, I have to be careful. I'm in the arts.
Mm,
That's left leaning. That's liberal. I am, I guess I would identify as a conservative, fiscal conservative, socially liberal, perhaps. I'm not sure. I don't think I've changed. I think the political spectrum
right.
has kind of
Many
changed
people
on me.
find themselves there.
Yeah. So going through the pandemic, I started to notice Michael's social media posts, and he and I got into it a little bit because he's a filmmaker like me. He's outspoken, he's opinionated,
So
and he's on.
how did you even start following Michael?
Right.
Like you
So
said you saw his post, so how you must have known him in some capacity.
Michael and I live in the same small town in rural Ontario, Canada here.
Wow.
Yeah. Michael is a filmmaker just like me. He used to live in Toronto, but he's semi-retired with his wife, and they moved down to my community. So when he came down, he's a friendly guy. He goes around introducing himself. I'm a filmmaker. I
Yeah,
just
you can
moved
tell
here.
that.
They say, you got to meet Dean. Dean's the other filmmaker in town. So we were acquaintances.
Okay.
And during the pandemic, I followed his social media posts. He was quite outspoken because he is opinionated. He's got a lot of personality. He's got a great sense of humor. And so I enjoyed his discourse, even though I
And
didn't always agree.
very pro-vax.
Yeah,
I
very
mean, he was
pro-vax,
very pro-vaccine.
doing what he was believing was the right thing to do, wear the mask, do the lockdowns, freedom, and all that play on stuff. But so it came to a point where his social media posts changed and they started to address that he was having some health issues. But he was very careful not to say what it was, to make no connection to any kind of vaccine injury or vaccine. He just said, I've been experiencing something, a neurological event that has affected me. My energy's getting lower and lower. I'm struggling to walk. I just struggling with my hands on all of this. And I thought, oh my goodness, is this connected to the vax? So now, look, my own background is, although I was skeptical, I still had my two shots. I was not sure how to proceed. My wife at the time thought it was the right thing to do. My parents thought it was the right thing to do. I'm self-employed. My business was already broken because of lockdowns. I just didn't want, I don't think I had the fortitude to handle the social pressure
Right.
and maybe my business not being able to operate because of the lack of vaccines. So
Yeah,
we
it's funny.
did
People
two.
always say, well, nobody forced you to get a vaccine. And it's like, well, I wasn't going to be able to go into a restaurant or a plane, and I wasn't going to be able to be employed. Yeah, or I wasn't be able to go to school. So yeah, no, oh, nobody forced me. No,
Nobody
of course
forced me.
not. I wasn't coerced at all. Mm.
So, I mean, we dragged our feet. My daughter only got one shot. My son wanted it for hockey, and you're just
Mm.
you're just trying to navigate this. This is a one. And although I'm skeptical of our government, yes, I have a healthy dose of skeptical. I weighed it, and that was my choice. So
Right.
we did that, but I knew that there was something not right, and I was not going to be surprised if there was some side effects to this thing, and we just have such a, let's face it, the pharmaceutical industry, right? I remember OxyContin being told it's safe and non-addictive, and now we have a opioid epidemic that's just completely out of control. So, anyways, that's aside. I started following Michael and was like, I think something's up here. Then one day he reached out to me out of the blue and he said, I don't know what's going on, But I've been down the rabbit hole. I've either got long COVID or a vaccine injury or something, both, whatever. I don't know. And I'm trying to figure it out. Come and do an interview with me. I don't know. Maybe there's a story here. And to be honest, his first pitch to me was, come interview me. I'm going to beat this thing. And then we're going to make videos teaching people how to have hope, what protocol to use, how to help. We're going to help people. Well, that's ultimately not the film we got to make.
Okay, so then you go, you interview him, and you upload that. Well, you tell the story.
Okay. So we did the interview, and it's heavy, right? This is a gentleman I know. I am surrounded by people that do not believe his story. I know that. What am I going to do with this? I'm just the messenger here.
I
So we
guess we
come
should
back.
say he took after his fourth dose,
Yes.
and within 36 hours, he starts having kind of neurological issues,
Yeah.
tingling within 36 hours of that vaccine.
And a couple days later, he's driving bus home from dropping the kids off, and he blacks out and goes in the ditch. He's got ringing in the ears. His eyes are going like this. He immediately goes to the doctor, and she says, "Okay, no more vaccines." I'm like, "Okay, I would have told you
Okay.
that. Oh my gosh. Okay." So they do a bunch of testing, and yeah, he's got lesions on the spine that are just contributing to all kinds of problems.
That's
So
like Joel Walskog, the co-founder of React 19. I mean, he's orthopedic surgeon, very successful, so well loved. He takes his first Moderna shot and transverse myelitis, lesions on the spine. He has to leave his practice, and well, here we are with React 19 because of him and Bree. But I'm sorry, go ahead.
no, because there is a lot of identical stories, a
Yes.
lot of
Yeah,
them.
well, yes.
And so we come back after interviewing Michael, and I have my editor Gus with me. And Gus is a younger person, following the narrative. He's probably more into his pop culture than he is to the news
Right.
or whatever. That's fine. But he was, we'd heard about censorship on YouTube. We'd heard about some things, but it's not going to touch us. We're in small town Canada here.
Right.
We take the footage and I sit on it for a little bit because I just don't even know if I'm emotionally ready to deal with this. So I'm watching another podcaster, and the podcaster who's based in America, he has another Canadian woman on his podcast, and she has a vaccine injury. She has the exact same experience as Michael and as Josh, is it?
Joel Walskog.
Joel.
Yeah.
The exact same
So is that
experience.
Kayla Pollock?
Yeah, Kayla Pollock
Yeah.
up in Northern.
Not tragic story. Well, as tragic as Michael's. I mean, anyway, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
No problem. I say, okay, there's two. There's two. What are the odds that are two that with not like, oh, I had some swelling in my arm, but exactly the same thing. 36 hours later, she's losing feeling, tingling, blah, blah, blah. She's in a wheelchair now.
She's in a wheelchair. Yeah, it's terrible.
So I think, okay, well, regardless of whatever I do with this footage, I've got to send it to this girl so that she knows she's not alone. And perhaps there's strength in numbers. So I load up the footage to YouTube. We have a burner channel, just in case, which never had a problem, but we put it up. I leave it unlisted. It's not for public consumption. It's not edited. It's nothing. It's just in the back end. And within 5 minutes, boom, I get an email. The video's taken down. I have a medical misinformation strike on my channel.
Yeah.
So right then, Gus, my editor, goes, okay, this is on now. It finally it hits home, and you see.
And that was in 2022?
2023.
2023. Wow. It was still happening that quickly. Well, yeah, I was posting early 2021 and was taken down. I had a website that I posted things to, and I would get like 350,000 hits of people trying to break into the website because you can check to see what's going on. And it was coming from all over the world, it was just crazy. All I was doing was posting people's stories. I wasn't making, just there it is. And so it's still as late as 2023. We're seeing a little bit of a let up, but anyway, and going back, we all know what happened to everyone. And I don't know if you're aware, With Bree, again, the co-founder of React 19, when this happened in the United States, you talked about, oh, you wanted to share this with Kayla, hey, there's another person out here, you're not alone. Well, as Bree connected with other people over Facebook, Instagram, whatever, they started forming these groups. And then we know, now we've heard out of Mark Zuckerberg's own mouth that they went in and totally disassembled all of those people's Facebook groups, leaving some to commit suicide because that was their only lifeline. So this unwillingness to talk about this has been deadly.
Absolutely. And if you can't reflect on this, you can't recover from this. Like that's been the heartbreaker for me. It's just the silence. The silence is just
It,
deafening,
it is.
from our government, from our doctors and health professionals. I mean, I'm optimistic now. People like you with a platform, the film, Follow the Silenced, Jennifer Sharp's film.
Yeah,
We,
anecdotals.
we
Yeah.
just got to keep, we just got to keep at it. And I mean, the unfortunate thing is more people are realizing there's people in their lives that are affected by these shots, and then that makes it personal, and that will help as well. It's an unfortunate way, but
Yeah,
that's
well,
the
and
reality of these.
the other tragedy that, obviously because people aren't willing to talk about it, is that there are so many people now with health issues that don't even know that they're related to the vaccine. I mean, I've been in numerous situations and people that I work with every day, are in communication with the levels. I happened to be in an ER last month and the neurologist was like, we've had so many, sorry, we've just had so many stroke victims tonight and strokes are just in somebody else, the cardiac, to get to see a neurologist, it's like January 2026, cardiologists, all the issues there, they're all backed up. And if our governments would just be honest, but here's the thing, I mean, you look at what happened with Michael, and the movie just shows his slow progression into just worse and worse. And, now he's laying in a bed. Basically, as he says, I feel like I've been put out to pasture. He's in a home, where with 90-year-olds. Um, how how do governments tell the people that they mandated a shot, hey, you could have kind of a ticking time bomb on you? I mean, do you think that's even possible? I mean, we want this recognition. We want to be able to talk about it, but do you think that governments would even come close to doing something like that, realizing the ramifications?
Yeah, no, and
Yeah,
they're not.
yeah,
And it's all parties. It's both sides because
yeah.
they're both involved in this decision. And so, yeah, and I get it. The doctors are overwhelmed right now. So the doctors are just got their head in the sand, just trying to deal with the patient. They're not connecting these larger dots
Right.
as to what's going on here. And for Michael his case here in Canada, we've got universal health care. And it only works if you fit into a box. If you are like everybody else, then you're well served. But if you're outside that, like they don't know, they won't acknowledge what it is. So then how do you treat something if it's not acknowledged?
Well, and
And
you deal with that directly in your film. You couldn't, none of the doctors, I mean, you did get two, Dr. Steve Pellich, is it?
yeah,
And
he's a
then,
scientist though.
okay,
He's a
scientist, and then
biologist.
Dr. Shoemaker. But besides that, you couldn't get anybody to talk to you, even though those medical professionals that were in Michael's care, they were just like, yeah, this is the vaccine, but I'm not going to talk about it.
Yeah, like they were threatened. Like if you speak out against these, you will lose your license. So
We
many off the
saw it again
record
and
would
again.
say, I can't believe it's not enormous malpractice. Like the whole thing isn't one just giant malpractice of the damage that's been done. But so for Michael's case, they'll say, yeah, we really think it is. Well, everybody's case that I do, there's three injured in the film. And all their doctors said off the record, yes, there's a very high chance that this is connected. But it's the only thing they will say is in their chart, or let's say they're applying for the vaccine injury support program, they will say patient believes they have a vaccine injury. So the doctor's like, we're
Yeah,
out,
then
we're
they get
clear.
to steer clear of it all. Yeah.
Yeah.
And okay, so you brought up the VISP, I think it's called in Canada, Vaccine Injury Support
Support
Program.
pro.
Okay, and
Yeah.
here in the United States, it's the vaccine. Well, we have the VAERS, which is a reporting center, and then we had the Countermeasures Injury Compensation Program, which has been an utter failure. But now, so in your film, you talk with the lawyer, Jasmine, was
Yep.
that it?
Jasmine Daya.
Yeah, okay. So she talks about, okay, so there's supposed to be, oh, I'm going to help these, she thinks, okay, well, let the government know, and there's supposed to be this program, but she goes into the fact that the Canadian government hired, what is it,
Oxera?
yeah,
Oxero?
and they're an accounting firm.
Yeah,
Oh
they're
my
actually a
God.
small company spun off of a larger, very famous accounting firm. So they didn't want to have their name, the accounting firm, on there. So they spun off a new, right in July, right when they got the bid, and
To
created
help
this smaller
medically
company.
injured people.
Yeah. And of course, it's a disaster.
Yeah, and that has recently, was it last week? The global news came out and said, okay, there's something wrong here. We've given this company $50 million and the vaccine injured are not getting compensated. So I mean, that's a positive, I suppose. I don't know where it's going to go, but
Yeah, I'll take any news,
right,
but they still reported on it as if it was a political scandal and not a health issue, like crisis, like these
right.
people. It was still like, hey, politics here. Look what the scandal is, and not, hey, this is really big. Like, number one question should have been the defenders of the program say it's overwhelmed. Okay, why is it overwhelmed? Red flag right up the yazoo right there, right?
Uh,
Like they knew it was coming. Maybe they didn't know the scope, and it's clear there are more people than they thought were going to be affected by these.
I had a question on Dr. Steve, or not the doctor, the scientist, Dr. Steve Pellish, is it?
Yep.
Pellish? Okay. Yeah, he's neurology, it sounds like. Anyway, we've talked about in the film, you talk a little bit about, hey, there are potentially tests that people could get to see if that spike is in them. And am I understanding that he has such a test? Or I mean, I know I've been in contact with Kevin McKernan, and I recently checked with him from some work that Dr. Bruce Patterson, is it Dr. Bruce Patterson? Anyway, a scientist who has that you can buy a test from Radiance Diagnostic that can test to see if that spike is in you. Now, is that available there in Canada or is it not?
No, it's not.
Okay.
Dr. David Speecher in our film talks a little bit about it. He's following that stuff. He's working with, I hope I can say, but he's working with people trying to get some sort of lab. You need a lab set up. You need all sorts of
Yeah.
infrastructure to do it here. Dr. Speecher's the one that found or confirmed Kevin McKern.
Kernan's, yeah.
Yeah, the contamination, the SV40, the sloppy manufacturing process.
And your film does a really good job for somebody covering the science of this, and you're so balanced. This is you couldn't walk away from this film thinking, oh, that was just so hyperbolic or what. You are very balanced in your approach, in saying, hey, this is this, and then you show people, okay, this is what, yes, we have been studying mRNA, and this is what we think could have been used for possibly good, but what we're doing over here, not so good. And then you get into the contamination. So your film covers so much ground, and it is so educational. Of course, I guess that's your background. You're educating people.
I guess usually I'm entertaining people, but in this way, I'm still, I guess, emotionally pulling on your heartstrings, I guess there. But thank you for that because that means a lot. I did not do well in grade 10 biology, but I always knew how strong my own immune system was. So, I stuck with that. But the science, yeah, I think it's really important that people understand that these are not traditional vaccines. When I talk about my film or go into a Facebook group, they immediately think I'm anti-vax, anti-science, right wing, I'm a Nazi, whatever. And it's like, no, I don't have blind faith in science or medical, all medical. But I do understand its place, and this is not anti-vax.
No.
This is talking about these specific mRNA vaccines and trying to understand how they work, how they're supposed to be used, and then how did we get to be using them so fast under emergency conditions? And I really appreciate that you say I got the science because I think that's important. And I
I
also
think,
wanted to balance like the messaging. Like I have conservatives and I have liberals, giving bad advice, bad medical advice from our politicians, you know?
right.
And I thought Michael, he's on the other side of the aisle, I guess, politically as me, I guess. I don't know even anymore. But
The fact is this should not be a political issue.
exactly,
Yeah.
exactly. It had become, so I had to include some of that, but really it's not. And so the greatest compliment I get is when people like you say you got the science, or people that were very skeptical of the film come out of it and say, wow, that really was not controversial. That
Yeah.
was just, you know,
You have the story of that with your own parents. Like, share that.
yeah, like my parents were doing what they thought was the right thing to do during it all. And, my mother's the matriarch of the family. And so you listen no matter how old you get or whatever, and you follow. And although I tried to say some things, they were a little bit open-minded, but I know they just didn't quite see it.
Get
Look,
it.
I'm their son. They remember all the mistakes I've made as a teenager or a young person. And well, how could this guy clearly know anything about anything? They remember my grade 10 biology mark, I guess. But at the end of the first screening, our premiere screening, yeah, my mom came up. She's just tears flowing, and she just said, we didn't know, we didn't know. We had trust in institutions and they failed us, blah, blah, blah. I didn't say anything. You just,
Yeah. You're
thank you
just
for
grateful
listening.
for that
Thank you for,
moment of
absolutely.
enlightenment.
And so
And then
that's what I'm hoping with this film. Yeah.
yeah, and you had the same issue trying to go to theaters in your area, or just trying to show this locally where you had never had issues before and expand on that.
Yeah, like we have a local independent theater here. They're a great community theater for cinema.
Right.
And another filmmaker who is just getting into making films, he made a film about fishing on Lake Erie. And the theater booked it, and he did all these screenings. And I thought, okay, great, the door's been opened for local movies to
Yeah.
play. Clearly, there's an appetite. So I reached out to the theater and I said, look, I'm not going to do as many screenings as he did because it's not a feel-good movie, but there's a gentleman in our community. This has happened to him. I've made a film about it. I've done the best I can to give a balanced take on it. I would love to have the premiere and some screenings there. And they refused it. They refused it flat out. And I said, you've got to tell me why you're refusing this film. And they said, well, it's not about Michael. We feel bad for Michael and we wish the best for Michael, but we just refused it on the basis of the other people in your film. And I was like, who? The scientists? The doctors?
Yeah, that was
Sorry, Mr. Cinema Manager, you have an
pretty
issue with their
much
science?
it. I mean, wow. And you even had, I think you said you even went to Michael's church, a church that he used to attend, to say, hey, would you be willing to show this? And they weren't either.
No, they said it didn't align with their values or mission. You know,
Helping those who have been trampled on by their government and abandoned does not align with your mission. My point was saying that you've had a difficult time getting this film shown within your own community, which is sad.
now, this church, though, I will say, this particular church of Michael's is in Toronto.
Okay.
So that is the urban church,
Okay.
which
Okay.
they're also a Mennonite church, ironically. And I thought, wow, you should be straight up on this. But no, and this is my whole point of the whole thing, is it's not trendy. It's not trendy right now to be anti-vax. And they
But
even
it's
said,
not
we
even
don't want to confuse.
anti-vax. It's
I
just
know.
it's just
This is the whole,
pro-truth.
because I was like, I'm
Everybody
pretty
who
sure.
took this vaccine was not anti-vax, you know? I mean, Bree herself, she's out there, sewing masks for the hospitals. She goes into the trial because, oh, I want to help, and gets abandoned and obliterated and, wipes out their entire life savings, just everything. And this is the story of every vaccine injured person that I have been in contact with. they're, it's not entered into the VAERS, or the doctors don't report it because they, again, what you said earlier, they no, can't report. There's somebody in Canada, I think in the film, that they lose their job or something because they were
Yeah, they lost
reporting
their license.
injuries. And that's that's it, the silence, and that we can't talk about it. And that is just what's causing unbelievable hardship and devastation, which your film shows so clearly with Michael. And I don't, what is your hope? What is your hope for the film?
Well, that it starts conversations straight off the bat, that it removes any stigma that the vaccine injured have because of anti-vax or whatever, that we can just treat everybody like human beings and
Right.
everybody can get the help that they need. Yeah, because it is ironic that, you pigeonhole them as anti-vax, but they all got the vax.
Yeah.
So
Some were
this
first in
is
line.
totally. And, number two would be you got to pause these shots. We have to pause them. We need more data. We need more research. Canada is not getting the message. We're doubling down. They're still promoting boosters. I was in the pharmacy the other day. There was like a 90-year-old. She was getting a flu shot and a COVID shot. I just thought, what's going on here? I'm no doctor, but I don't think two of anything on a day like that is a good idea. So we need to just pause these and figure out what is going on. And then we need to acknowledge the injured and we need to support them. We had billions and billions of dollars to get people to take these shots. You got to pony up and cover what you messed up or what these shots are doing. We have to. It's unconscionable not to.
Well, and then I think that just goes back where we kind of initially started, like, but if we acknowledge that, oh, then what? Then what? And I think that's the problem. I think here in the United States, obviously, I think, again, the conversations are starting to happen. I believe that RFK Jr. is doing what he can with the limits, I think, that Trump has put on him. I've personally spoken with Dr. Jay Bhattacharya, who's the head of the NIH. I've talked to him a couple of times. He knows what's going on. So I'm in a text group with people who are talking about it, who are doing whatever they can in their community. Some of these people, maybe people would recognize their names. One in particular is Heather Hudson, whose son Cody, just tragic. I mean, she shared this earlier this morning. There was a text that came in, and just the blood that comes up from, he was injured by the COVID vaccine. He took it to, do 21 years old, and I have, anybody can watch that interview on the React 19 channel, but Governor DeSantis knows about him. They were part of the grand jury. Joe Ladapo. Everybody knows about Cody. Everybody knows about the vaccine injured. All of those in power, and I know that these are good men that want to do something, but there is this overall, like, you're not going to pass this line. And so I don't know what's going to happen. I do think, again, RFK here, I mean, they're going to work on the vaccine. I think the probably the greatest hope we can hope for, or the best hope, is that the vaccine injury programs will be funded and people will be able to get help. I don't know that it will ever be acknowledged to the extent that it is, which is unfortunate because people are going to continue to have health injuries. That if we could research the spike protein, what it's doing, if we could have research to do this, and if doctors were all away, hey, if you have patients that are having this, this, and this, and this, and this, and this, we think it's coming from this, and this is what should be tested. I don't know. Do you think we'll get there? Or?
No, I don't. Unfortunately, or not for another generation, perhaps. I don't think there'll
Yeah.
be, accountability to anybody's satisfaction. I think. Time will pass and things will happen, and there will be an inquiry, or some young reporter will chomp on this 10 years from now, and it'll be uncovered, and everyone will go, wow, how did we do what we did? How did that? What a shame. We got to make sure that never happens again, blah, 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 blah. But that's just the cycle, right? We have that with residential schools here. We have that with, chemicals in water or things we used to do. And then, it'll just be too late, I think.
But here's the thing, and why your film is important. I'm gonna pull up this text. I should have had it here. And Heather, who has gone through, this is Cody's mom. I don't know. Gosh, this mom has just fought. Well, you know, Sean Hartman's dad, Dan has certainly fought. But she goes on, and here she is struggling with everything. Cody's basically dying, and she's like, "This is why we need to keep talking about it. This is why we have to keep fighting." I mean, in all that she's going through, she's like the one in the group that's like, "No, we're going to keep going." And I think that's what your film does. And I think that should be the encouragement here is that we might not get an answer in a year or two, but we can't be quiet. We have to
Yeah,
keep talking about it. We have to keep
absolutely.
in any place. If anybody's watching this interview and, hey, you want to do a showing of the film or, obviously, where are all the places where are the best places that people can connect with you and follow you?
So if you go to our website, rainymedia.com, we've got the film there available. You can
Yeah, you
order a
can watch it for
DVD.
free, everybody. You can watch it
Yeah,
for free.
we've put it by donation just because we thought, we don't want any barriers for people to get it. We understand, the backs injured have taken a financial hit. Anybody who's been, affected by this. But if you are in a position to be able to support the
Please,
film,
please.
I had no sponsorship. I didn't
Yeah,
get an Arts Council grant.
this is
This was,
all 100% your blood, sweat, and tears. You just put it out there because you saw what has happened to Michael. And anybody who watches this film, you want to shake the world and say, and if you have $10, $20, $200, $2,000, what if you can make a difference? The other day I had a doctor's appointment, just nothing, just where they have to see you, just to whatever. And I stayed in that doctor's appointment, even though I knew it was going to cost me more money to be there. I stayed in there longer because I wanted to give them all the update of everything that's going on, including this film. And this particular doctor was like, "Yes, send me this. It's good to talk with you to hear what's going on." I mean, it might cost us something, but it is so worth it. It will yield a harvest. You scatter it out, and in time, I believe if we are faithful in scattering, just scattering the seed, I believe in time we will reap a harvest, and everyone, no matter where you land on this, everyone will benefit because the truth will benefit all of us. And
yeah, and I
so,
truly, truly believe that films like mine and Follow the Silence,
yes,
these are records. These are records. So when future generations need to find out
absolutely.
what the hairy heck happened, here you go. It's
There
all
you
right
go.
here,
Absolutely, 100%. Okay, so rainymedia.com, find the movie, make the donation, share it out to anybody on everybody just, share it with your friends, your family. Hey, and it doesn't, I mean, I think, Follow the Silence kind of gives the American side, you give the Canadian. It just shows how this is a worldwide
yeah.
thing,
They're pretty similar stories.
Yes, and so it's happening everywhere. And then, are you on any social media that where you generally post?
Yeah, Facebook's the best place. Rainy Media on
Rainy
Facebook.
Media. Okay,
All our updates go there, bonus clips, anything we share because, the scientists and doctors that are in my film also are doing other interviews and that. And so we're always sharing those, any new developments, and people can reach out and, send letters to Michael or, some
yes, I
people
will
do want to
put
send.
that. I'll put his PO box in the show notes. So in the show notes, we'll have the link to your website, how to send Michael a note. I mean, you'll see in the film he's basically laying in bed. But you said you had a little update on that.
Yeah. So I talked to Michael yesterday. He gave me a call and a lot of people send treatment ideas or suggestions or protocols, and we are thankful for everybody who
Right.
reaches out. It does become overwhelming
I can
because,
only imagine.
I'm not his doctor. I'm just kind of the gatekeeper. So I try to pass things on, and he does have some protocols, but he did say, and this is just a little update here, he's been using the NAC,
Okay.
and methylene blue,
Oh, methylene blue. Yeah.
methylene blue, and then it's the augmented NAC for the
Okay.
spike. Okay.
Okay.
He'd been on that for a while. He got a new source for that medicine, which is a little more potent or
Okay. Yeah,
yeah.
because all that matters.
Yeah. Now he's doing all his supplements. He's prepared for this. He's been doing
Yeah.
all kinds of stuff. He's under doctor's supervision as well. But yesterday he said after 5 days of this new protocol tweaks, he feels a little bit better. He's getting some movement back in his hands. So it's
Oh,
the first
wow.
conversation that I have ever had with him where he was cautiously optimistic.
Because literally, folks, you will see, you just as soon as you're finished here, I hope everybody goes and watches the film. You will see what has happened to this man. And yeah, yeah, that's why we need to keep talking about it for all the Michaels that are out there, for all the Codys, for all the Shelleys, for just people. And I do want people to understand people have lost their everything, their entire life, their health, their ability to work, their entire life savings. They've lost relationships. It, nothing, and then the government's not there to help them. And I don't think I know of another sect, another group, another demographic of people that nobody will help. I mean, whatever usually your cause, hey, let's have a fun run for this. I'm selling cookies for the, hey, everybody's like, oh, yay, vaccine injured. Nope, can't
Yeah,
go there.
it's
Can't go there.
mind-boggling.
And
It's
it's
mind-boggling.
and think about being that person. And that's why in Bree Dressen, again, the co-founder of React 19, why at the press conference back in 2020, November 2021, she finished her testimony with a letter from a friend who had committed suicide. And she said, Bree, please tell our stories. Please make sure the world knows the cruelty that has been imposed upon us. Goodbye, my dear friend. I will see you on the flip side. So, Dean, thank you for telling the stories. Thank you that we are honoring that woman's request to tell the stories because the world needs to know the cruelty that has taken place and that we can be an instrument of change and we can be an instrument of good. And we can do that together. Each one of us, there's no millionaires in this group. There's no, everybody's just pitching in their, 20, 50, whatever. And you know what? React 19 has given out every dime that they get in, it goes right back out to the injured. They've given out more money than our government. There was one big, huge, I think somebody died in the CIC program. But that's just you people. That's just you giving 20, 30, 40, $50. So go to that website, watch the film, give as much as you can, and let's keep talking about this. Right, Dean?
That's right. Thank you so much for having a platform like this that we can come and promote these stories and people like Michael. I appreciate you so much.
Yes, and please, when you talk to Michael, let him know we're out there. We're praying for him. People, again, I'll put that PO box in there, send him a note, just letting him know he is not alone. He's not fighting this alone. We're out there and we're going to carry him, to whatever it is. And we're just going to walk with him. So thank you so much, Dean. I should say, was there anything else? I kind of just went off there at the end. Was there anything else that you wanted to share?
No, I do want to be optimistic.
Yes.
I feel like the strides we've made since our film came out in April and Follow the Silence came out in May,
Yeah.
that the dam has bursted open. There's not a day goes by that somebody doesn't reach out and tell me their story or just feel comfortable and knowing that they're not alone. Because I can't even imagine that you have all these physical ailments and problems, but then mentally, how are you handling that everybody thinks you're crazy or that you just aren't acknowledged? I just can't even imagine how these people, I mean, they're very strong. They're very, very strong. And
Unbelievably.
so we just want to help them as best we can. And I am optimistic that, we will keep moving this issue to the forefront.
All right. Well, I thank you for all your efforts to do so. Thank you. So everybody head over to rainymedia.com. The link will be in the notes. Thanks again, Dean.
Thank you.